Apple's doing something with their AirPods, right?
Yeah, they're putting cameras on their AirPods. Supposedly, it's not to record. That's kind of what they've said in their public statements. It's only to like pipe in to give Siri more context. But I don't know how comfortable
Yeah,
that
but what's
makes
the
you.
difference between that and recording it? It's like a semantics. It's
Yeah,
like,
right.
it's only recording it for our bot.
Well, not only
Yeah.
that, but they have like they have three products in development. The AirPods are just the first one. They're supposedly working on a pendant and like a desktop thing also. So I just think these devices are coming.
Welcome to the Lost Debate, a show for political eclectics. I'm Ravi Gupta, and today we speak to Ross Andersen from The Atlantic. And Ross has a really fascinating beat, and I asked him about it in this podcast. But today we're talking about this sort of rise of the audio surveillance technologies all around us, whether it's people wearing AI pendants or our phones taking audio or whatever, and new companies that are creating technologies to try to beat that surveillance and actually prevent you from being recorded, and what you can do about it. I think you'll love this episode. Let's jump right in. Ross, welcome to the podcast.
Ravi, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's shift gears and talk about something less fun, which is the fact that we're just being recorded all the time. And you profile an arms race, but before we get to potential solutions here, where are we now with this technology? Like how many devices in a normal person's existence are recording us in some kind of way?
Yeah, look, I think it kind of depends where you live. So like I have some colleagues who live in the Bay Area right now, and they say even like going to drinks with friends, but certainly like any business lunch, you'll often see someone wearing one of these little AI pendants, or they'll have like on the necklace or, a Plod device, whatever it is. And, I think for the most part, a lot of these people have really noble intentions with these things. They're using it as a kind of an assistant or an external memory, or, to get advice. Like there's lots of people who use them on first dates and then like kind of run it back, like, hey, coach me, tell me what I do wrong, what
Oh
were
my God.
what were my failure modes in this date. But I think even outside of San Francisco and Silicon Valley, it's just look, like everyone knows that these AI devices, or the way that we use AI, the more context the better, right, for the
Right.
AI, if we want to get
Yeah.
good advice. And so there's a lot of people that are making the argument that if you let the thing into your whole life by having a little pendant on you that records every conversation you have, it's going to be way more useful to you. And so I think now it's still niche for now, but with companies like Apple and OpenAI really coming online with devices that are kind of meant to be sort of an eyes and ears for AI for you, that's when I think you're really going to see it bloom out of the Bay Area and become a much more mainstream phenomenon.
And remind me, Apple's doing something with their AirPods, right?
Yeah, they're putting cameras on their AirPods, and supposedly it's not to record. That's kind of what they've said in their public statements. It's only to like pipe in to give Siri more context. But I don't know how comfortable
Yeah,
that
but what's
makes
the
you.
difference between that and recording it? It's like a semantics. It's
Yeah,
like,
right.
it's only recording it for our bot.
Well, not only
Yeah.
that, but they have like they have three products in development. The AirPods are just the first one. They're supposedly working on a pendant and like a desktop thing also. So I just think these devices are coming.
Wow. And so the question is, what do we do about it?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because there's already like some consumer products that are coming online, or at least in kind of startup phase, where people are creating these little jammers, right? Something that, if you were to go get drinks with a buddy and you're going to talk about, problems in your relationship, not saying that you have any, that you might want to put this, like in the middle of the table. That way, like you
Yeah,
can't be
I looked at the
recorded.
one you mentioned. So the one you mentioned, one called Devalence or something.
Devalence
Devalence.
is the company, and then Spectre is the
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was
Looks like a
like,
little
I'm looking
hockey
at this.
puck.
Yeah, I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, huh, okay. It's almost $1,200, right? So basically, like the cost of a laptop, probably. And my worry, I'm like, okay, it would be cool and subversive to have this thing. I could fuck with all my
Yeah.
friends if they have these stupid devices. And then also like I'm not like a journalist in the way that you or Ronan Farrow or somebody, where I'm like that concerned about people setting me up. But I'm like, um, it would be nice to always to have this if I'm a little concerned about something, like a date or something, where,
Yeah.
I've worked in politics. They now have TMZ and all these people trying to set, and the Veritas Project trying to set liberals up to look stupid and stuff. And you could come up with a million scenarios.
Right.
So you're like, okay, let me have my subversive device. My one worry though is I'm like $1,200, like, and they're shipping this in a couple months. I'm like, these AI companies, they know about it too, so they can buy the device and figure out how it works and then come up with a workaround. You know?
That's right.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I mean, there's sorry. There's an argument to be made that really, in the end, because that the highest value of a device like that is as a signaling device, right? As a kind of pushback on your buddy who does have the pendant, like, hey, you're being a jerk.
Just like put it right in front of him and just hit the button. And be like,
exactly.
I'm talking to you, Mike Simon, my buddy Mike. If you're listening, I know you're the number one person I'm concerned about.
Does he have one of these?
He was talking about getting a pendant. He now is in Madrid, so I haven't seen him in a couple months. But he was talking about getting a pendant, and I would get this just to fuck with him. It would be worth $1,200 every time we're around.
Yeah, I mean, it would be neat to have, again, and we can get into the details as to what the likely kind of outcome of this arms race is going to be between, as you say, the sort of companies that are making like the Spectre device versus every AI company, and more importantly, the speech selection algorithms that they're using to pull our voices out of audio. But it's just, we've seen this with putting your phone face down on a table when you meet friends for drinks, or leaving phones out of the bedrooms. Like, these small actions, whether they're symbolic, whether they're small, can kind of at least do something to hold up, some social norms.
Yeah. And the technology for isolating a voice is insane. Like, yesterday I was walking on the street and there was literally a fire truck right next to me blazing by. I couldn't hear the person on the other end. And then she told me, I didn't hear any fire truck. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I couldn't hear anything. So, I mean, this is just going to get worse and worse and worse. I mean, the surveillance in general is crazy. Like, the amount of times, I don't even understand it anymore. It's like, I used to be told that you're paranoid if you think you're searching on one thing and then it shows up on your Instagram a second later, or if you're talking about something and it shows up. But the amount of times it's been super specific, I can't ignore it anymore. You know, like, and I don't even know, maybe you do, like, what they're allowed to do. Like, what are they allowed to track anymore? It seems
I don't,
chaotic.
I mean, technically you do need, depending on the state you're in, you need two-party consent to record. But I don't think that's stopped. I think the de facto situation is that lots of people are recording all the time, and that our devices may be, as you say. I find myself lapsing into kind of like surveillance nihilism sometimes, or like privacy nihilism. Like, when I get an email about a breach or something, I'm like, I'm sure all my stuff's on the dark web anyway,
You almost have to assume that, like this thing of like signal versus texting and all that. It's like, I if I was doing something super sensitive, like if I'm reporting on something, like, I was in India, for example, doing like an investigation into a political murder, that I was using Signal and stuff like that. But I'm like, I'm just sending random stuff. Like, even if some of it's embarrassing, I'm like, who cares? Like, like, what is it? We're just all there now,
Yeah. I do think some of these techniques where it generates a lot of false data are really cool.
Okay, I was going to ask you about this. So this seems to be the method that a lot of the evaders tend to do, is that instead of blocking the speech, it's just adding a lot of just garbage to the. I like this idea. Give us an example of how this would work in practice.
Yeah, and like, I think maybe we'll start with the web browser analogy, because there's really cool browser extension that was made by some privacy activists called Track Me Not. And what it does is that in the background of your Chrome or your Firefox or whatever, it just is like constantly running searches like all day long. And so then if someone were to, you get these bozos that like commit a murder, right? And they're like, how, how to get blood out of the rug.
Yeah,
Like
it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
this might have saved them, right? Like if they
Yeah.
had thousands of other queries. But yeah, in the audio context, this goes back to some real analog methods. Like there were lawyers who were public defenders who used to meet, their clients in the jailhouse and would be really genuinely worried about either the just being recorded, by the police or whatever, or the jail, whatever it might be. And so they would use what's called babble tapes, where they'd have these very long audio tapes of people speaking in different languages in English, and then they would just like play them over the back of their conversation to kind of confuse the audio. And the new jamming techniques look to be like a more sophisticated version of that. So just like your noise canceling headphones that, were able to erase that siren, they're sampling the siren, right, in real time and putting something up to mask it in your headphone. These kind of work the opposite way. They're sampling voice and trying to send out voice signals at the same time that obscure your voice, which I think it's cool tech.
Yeah, and I vaguely remember this from physics class. Is like the unique thing about sound is that you truly can cancel it out, like because of the way that the sort of there's a one and a negative one, if you remember, for the sound wave. And so if scientists here are gonna send me some notes on this, but this like I just remember learning that you could just like you can tinker with it, you can cancel it, or amplify it, obviously.
That's right.
Well, this is really cool, man. Thanks for, I think this is your first time on. So thanks for joining us, Ross. Point us in the direction where we could find your work.
Yeah, well, I'm easy to find. Ross Andersen at The Atlantic. And any notes, any complaints, Ross at theatlantic.com, any tips. But Ravi, I really appreciate you having me on. I hope to be back.
Great to meet you, man.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on audio, go over to YouTube, subscribe. You can get all these episodes on YouTube now and vice versa. So if you're on YouTube, go over to the podcast and search Lost Debate and subscribe there. Have a great weekend, everybody.